The email from my father's company sat unopened in my inbox, its subject line glaring at me. Urgent. Patterson Industries merger discussion, immediate response required. 8 years ago, I'd stood in his oak-paneled office as he towered over me, face red with rage. "You'll be nothing without the Patterson name," he'd snarled, ripping up my resignation letter. "No one in this industry will even look at you." Now they were the ones desperate for a meeting. "Miss Sullivan?" My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your brother's on line 1. Third time today." I smiled, thinking about how many times they'd ignored my calls when I was starting out. "Let it go to voicemail, Claire. Like the other two." The Manhattan skyline stretched out beyond my office windows. Windows that looked directly into Patterson Industries headquarters across the street. I could almost see them panicking from here. My phone buzzed again, a text from my sister Melanie. "Come on, Kate. Just take the meeting. For family's sake." Family sake. That was rich, coming from the sister who'd laughed the loudest when I changed my name from Patterson to Sullivan, my mother's maiden name, and started my own company. "The prodigal daughter returns," Claire announced from my doorway. "Your mother's in the lobby." I raised an eyebrow. "Really? Margaret Patterson deigning to enter Sullivan Global's offices? The world must be ending. Should I send her up?" I glanced at the framed magazine cover on my wall, Forbes 40 Under 40 issue from last year, with my photo front and center. "Give me 5 minutes, then show her in." 8 years was a long time to plot the perfect revenge. But as I was about to discover, it was worth every minute. My mother hadn't changed much, still perfectly coiffed, designer-clad, and radiating disapproval. But something was different in her eyes. Fear maybe. Or desperation. "Catherine," she said stiffly, hovering near my office door. "This place is larger than I expected." 78 floors, I replied coolly. "You can see them all from Patterson Industries. Since, we bought the taller building." She flinched slightly. "Yes, well, about that. Your father. Robert Patterson, CEO of Patterson Industries? The man who told me I'd never succeed without his precious name? That father." "Kate, please." She sank into one of my visitor chairs, her composure cracking. "We need to talk about the merger." There was the real reason for this unexpected family reunion. The merger where Axis Corporation is trying to buy out Patterson Industries? I smiled. Or the part where they need my signature to close the deal? Her perfectly applied makeup couldn't hide her shock. "How did you know about the clause requiring all Patterson family members to approve major ownership changes? The one Dad used to force out his own brother 20 years ago." I leaned back in my chair. "I do run a global consulting firm, Mother. Information is our business." "Then you know how important this is. Patterson Industries needs this merger to survive." I picked up a folder from my desk. The latest financial reports showing just how badly Patterson Industries was bleeding money. "Actually, what you need is a miracle. Axis is buying you for pennies on the dollar. Which is why we need family solidarity," she pressed. "Your signature isn't free," I cut in. "Not anymore." She drew herself up, trying to reclaim her usual authority. "We're your family." "Are we?" Because 8 years ago, Dad made it very clear that leaving Patterson Industries meant leaving the family. I stood up, walking to my window. In fact, his exact words were, "You walk out that door, you're dead to us." He was angry. "You were throwing away everything he built." "No," I turned back to her. "I was building something better. Sullivan Global now handles twice the consulting volume of Patterson Industries. Our client list includes half the Fortune 500. That, nothing your husband predicted? It's worth $12 billion. She paled slightly. "Kate." "It's Catherine," I corrected her. "Catherine Sullivan. And if Patterson Industries wants my signature on that merger deal, they're going to have to earn it. What do you want?" Her voice was barely a whisper. I sat down again, enjoying the role reversal. "A meeting. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. sharp. Dad, you, Melanie and Thomas. All the Pattersons who thought I'd fail without their precious name. Your father will never. Then Patterson Industries will fail instead." I opened my laptop dismissively. "His choice." She stood up, smoothing her skirt with trembling hands. "You've changed, Catherine." "No, Mother. I've succeeded. Despite everything you all did to stop me. I looked up at her. 9 a.m. Don't be late. After she left, I watched her hurry across the street to Patterson Industries. Through my window I could see lights still burning in the executive offices. They'd be up late tonight running numbers, desperately seeking alternatives. But they wouldn't find any. I'd spent 8 years making sure of that. My phone buzzed. Thomas, this time my older brother and Patterson Industries CFO. Kate, whatever you're planning. I let it go to voicemail. Claire appeared with fresh coffee and the latest acquisition reports. Your father's executive assistant called. They've confirmed the 9 a.m. meeting. All of them. The entire Patterson clan. Apparently your mother's report of your success was persuasive. I smiled, thinking about tomorrow's meeting. They had no idea what was coming. 8 years ago, I'd walked out of Patterson Industries with nothing but my determination and my mother's maiden name. They'd all predicted my failure. Dad with his rage, Mom with her disapproval, my siblings with their mockery. Sullivan. Melanie had sneered. You really think dropping the Patterson name will make you special? Special enough to save their company, as it turned out. Though salvation might not be exactly what they were expecting. I picked up the merger documents from my desk, running my finger over the signature line they so desperately needed me to fill. 8 years of watching them dismiss my success, pretend I didn't exist, act like the Patterson name was worth more than actual achievement. Now they were about to learn exactly how much the Sullivan name was worth. Claire, I called out. Make sure the conference room is ready for tomorrow. And have the documents prepared. The real ones. She smiled knowingly. Or the ones they're expecting? Both. Let's see how tomorrow's meeting goes. I turned back to my window, watching the sun set behind Patterson Industries building. By this time tomorrow, they'd understand exactly what their precious family name was worth. And exactly what they'd lost by forcing me to make my own. The Patterson family arrived at Sullivan Global exactly 1 minute before 9, punctuality being one of my father's many obsessions. I watched through my office window as they crossed the street together. Dad in his trademark navy suit, Mother still perfectly composed despite her obvious tension, Melanie and Thomas flanking them like corporate bodyguards. They're here, Claire announced unnecessarily. Security says your father tried to bring his entire legal team. I smiled. And? They're cooling their heels in the lobby as requested. Family only. Perfect. I straightened my blazer. Armani, not the discount brands they'd always assumed I wore. Let's not keep them waiting. The conference room I'd chosen had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Patterson Industries headquarters. Let them stare at their crumbling empire while we talked. Catherine. My father's greeting was stiff as I entered. He'd aged in 8 years, though his arrogance hadn't dimmed. Let's make this quick. The Axis merger team is waiting. They can keep waiting, I cut in smoothly, taking my seat at the head of the table. This is a family meeting, remember? Thomas shifted uncomfortably. As CFO, he knew exactly how desperate their situation was. Kate, be reasonable. This merger is time-sensitive. Catherine, I corrected him. And I'm always reasonable. That's how I built a $12 billion company while you were running Patterson Industries into the ground. Melanie's perfect smile cracked slightly. No one's denying you've had some success. Some success. I pulled up the financial comparison slides on the conference room screen. Sullivan Global's quarterly profits exceed Patterson Industries' annual revenue. Our client retention rate is triple yours. Our market share. I paused for effect. Well, that's why you're here, isn't it? Enough games, my father snapped. We need your signature on the merger documents. Name your price. I laughed softly. You still think this is about money? The same way you thought I'd come crawling back when my trust fund ran out. Mother leaned forward, trying her usual placating tone. Darling, we know we were harsh when you left. Harsh. I clicked to the next slide. A recording of my father's voice from 8 years ago. You'll be nothing without the Patterson name. No one will hire you, no one will trust you, no one will even look at you without our reputation behind you. The room fell silent as his words echoed off the walls. I kept that recording, I said quietly. Listened to it every time I landed a major client. Every time I expanded into a new market. Every time someone chose Sullivan Global over Patterson Industries. Thomas cleared his throat. That was a long time ago. People say things in anger. You want to hear what you said, Thomas? Or you, Melanie? I kept those recordings too. Every mockery, every dismissal, every prediction of my failure. What do you want? My father's voice had lost its edge. The merger agreement is worthless, I finished, sliding new documents across the table. Because Sullivan Global already owns controlling interest in Axis Corporation. The silence that followed was deafening. Mother's hand flew to her throat. Thomas started frantically flipping through the papers. That's impossible, Melanie stammered. Axis is trying to buy us out. No, I corrected her. I'm buying you out using Axis as a front. I've spent the last 3 years quietly acquiring their shares through subsidiary companies. The merger isn't a rescue plan. It's a hostile takeover. My father's face had gone chalk white. You engineered this? The market pressure, the declining contracts. Amazing what happens when a company with better services specifically targets your client base. I smiled. Turns out the Sullivan name carries quite a bit of weight these days. Why? Mother whispered. Why go to all this trouble? Because 8 years ago you all thought a name was worth more than ability. That being a Patterson meant more than actual achievement. I stood up, enjoying the way they seemed to shrink in their seats. I built something better than a family legacy. I built an empire. And now I'm going to take yours. Thomas was still scanning the documents, his CFO training kicking in. These terms, you'll strip Patterson Industries for parts. Unless, I slid another folder across the table, you agree to my alternative proposal. My father snatched it up, desperation overtaking pride. His eyes widened as he read. A merger. He looked up sharply. With Sullivan Global? Full integration of both companies, I confirmed. Patterson Industries becomes a subsidiary of Sullivan Global. All assets, all contracts, all employees transfer to my control. You want us to work for you? Melanie's voice rose shrilly. That's poetic justice? I suggested. The daughter you dismissed becoming your boss. Mother reached for the documents with trembling hands. And if we refuse? Then the Axis deal proceeds as planned. Patterson Industries gets broken up and sold off piece by piece. Your choice. My father stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. This is revenge. Pure and simple. No, Dad. This is business. The thing you thought I'd never understand without the Patterson name behind me. I met his eyes steadily. I'm offering you a chance to save the company you built. Just not the way you planned. Thomas was still reading the merger terms. These are actually fair. More than fair. We'd keep our jobs, our departments. Under new management, I reminded him. My management. How long? Mother asked quietly. How long have you been planning this? I walked to the window, looking out at Patterson Industries building. 8 years. Ever since you all made it clear that names meant more than merit. I turned back to them. You have 1 hour to decide. Either way I win. The only question is whether Patterson Industries survives in some form, or disappears completely. They huddled together, whispering frantically. I could see the moment reality set in. The realization that the daughter they'd dismissed had outmaneuvered them completely. Finally, my father picked up the merger documents with a shaking hand. We'll sign. Good choice. I nodded to Claire, who appeared with the final papers. Oh, and one more thing. They looked up warily. The company name stays Sullivan Global. The Patterson name. I smiled. Well, let's just say it's not worth what it used to be. One by one they signed, each signature an admission of defeat, each pen stroke an acknowledgement of how thoroughly I'd beaten them at their own game. Welcome to Sullivan Global, I said as they finished. HR will be in touch about your new positions. Much lower on the organizational chart, of course. You're enjoying this, Melanie accused, tears in her eyes. Actually, I'm not. I gathered the signed documents. This isn't about enjoyment. It's about proving that success comes from what you build, not what name you're born with. As they filed out, my father paused at the door. I underestimated you. Yes, I agreed simply. You all did. 3 months later, I stood in my new office. formerly my father's, looking out at the city skyline. The merger had gone smoothly, though watching the Patterson name come down from the building had clearly pained my family. Thomas had surprised everyone by excelling in his new lower position, finally free from our father's shadow. Melanie had quit within a week, unable to handle the role reversal. Mother had taken early retirement, though she still sent occasional emails asking to repair our family bonds. And my father? He'd stayed on as a junior consultant, swallowing his pride daily as he watched his daughter run the empire he'd thought she'd never build. Miss Sullivan? Claire appeared with the latest quarterly reports. The board meeting's about to start. Your father's presentation is first on the agenda. I smiled, thinking about how much had changed. Tell them I'll be right there. Oh, and your sister Melanie called again. Something about reconsidering her resignation. Tell her all positions are filled, I said. But she's welcome to submit an application through our regular hiring process. Under any name she chooses. I gathered my things, heading for the boardroom where my family now sat at a much lower level of the table. Sometimes success isn't about proving people wrong. It's about proving yourself right. Even if it takes 8 years and a corporate takeover to do it. After all, a name is just a name. It's what you build with it that matters. 1 year after the merger, I sat in my office reviewing the latest Forbes article, Sullivan Global, How One Woman Built a Business Empire and Revolutionized Her Family Legacy. The magazine sat open on my desk, next to a frame containing my old Patterson Industries ID badge, a reminder of how far I'd come. A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. My father stood there, looking oddly hesitant despite his still immaculate suit. In the past year he'd aged decades worth, but something had changed in him too. The arrogance had been replaced by something almost like respect. "Catherine," he said formally. "Do you have a moment?" I gestured to the chair across from my desk. The same chair where he'd once told me I'd be nothing without his name. "Of course." He sat down, fidgeting with his tie. "The Anderson contract presentation." The board was impressed. "Your approach to the digital transformation strategy was exactly what I suggested 8 years ago," I finished. "The same proposal you said would destroy the Patterson legacy."